Good afternoon. Want to call to order the November 18th, 2021 meeting of the Sacramento Transportation Authority and the Sacramento Abandoned Vehicle Service Authority. And want to thank all who've joined us both in chambers but via Zoom today. And we have a fairly full agenda, and so we'll get into that in just a moment. But before we do that, we'll need to establish a quorum and have Darrell, our clerk, read into the record ways for folks to contact us during the course of this meeting in the other portions of the announcement, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'm sorry, this is Darrell with the clerk of the board. You're having issues with hearing? Can you hear me now? I'm sorry, this is Darrell with the clerk of the board. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear? Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear now?
Okay, can you hear us now? Okay. Apologies about that.
All right. Well, it wasn't worth me repeating, but I think for the public's purpose, I need to repeat it. I'll call to order the November 18th, 2021 meeting of the Sacramento Transportation Authority and the Sacramento Abandoned Vehicle Service Authority. Want to welcome all who've joined us in chambers and certainly all those on Zoom, colleagues and others. And with that, we'll go to the establish a quorum, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll get right into the agenda. Darrell.
Desmond? Frost? Guetta?
Here.
Harris?
Here.
Kozlowski?
Here.
Kennedy?
Here.
Miller? Natoli?
Here.
Sandhu?
Here.
Chenier? Cerna?
Here.
Singh Allen?
Here.
Speece?
Present.
Terry?
Here.
Valenzuela?
Here.
And Vang.
Here.
Okay. And you have a quorum.
Okay.
In compliance with directives of the County, State, and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, this meeting is live streamed and closed to in-person public participation. Temporary procedures are subject to change pursuant to guidelines related to social distancing and minimizing person-to-person contact. To make a verbal comment at today's meeting, dial 916-875-2500 and follow the prompts to be placed in queue for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter. When the chair opens public comment for a specific item, agenda items or off-agenda matter, callers will be transferred from the queue into the meeting to make a verbal comment. Written comments are always accepted. Send your email comment to boardclerk@saccounty.net, and your comment will be routed to the board and filed in the record. This meeting of the Sacramento Transportation Authority's cablecast live on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T U-verse cable systems. This meeting is closed captioned and live streamed at metro14live.saccounty.net. Today's meeting will replay Sunday, November 21st at 9 a.m. on Channel 14. And that concludes my announcements.
Great. Thank you, Darrell. And we do have a quorum, and so I'm going to ask Darrell to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, if she would today, please.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. With that, then we'll go into our agenda. Do we have any items to be dropped from the agenda, Madam Clerk?
You said items to be dropped from the agenda?
Are there any items that need to be dropped from the agenda?
Not that I know of.
Good.
I haven't got any notes
I
from
don't
the
think so.
executive directors.
Okay. All right. With that, then we'll go first to comments from the public regarding matters not on the agenda. So this would be for any item that's not on the agenda. Do we have any? I don't think we have in the chamber sign up to speak, but do we have anybody on the line?
No, we do not have any verbal public comment at this time for item number 1.
Okay, very good. Well, if someone joins us, we certainly can call for that before we adjourn. But all right, we'll move to the executive director's report. So with that, I'll turn to Sabrina Drago. Sabrina.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Chair, members of the board, and guests. Happy November.
I'm very excited to say that this past Monday, President Biden signed into law the largest infrastructure funding package for the past 70 years. The $1.2 trillion program reauthorizes the highway, public transportation, and rail programs for the next 5 years. This bill includes $219.6 billion for the federal highway program and an additional $110 billion of supplemental funds for roads, bridges, and major projects. Many of the programs are in existence already, authorized in previous laws, however, now have more significant funding. This bill is nearly 2,000 pages long and addresses a lot of other items other than transportation. Additionally, there are programs created at the state level for both formulaic and competitive grants. In the interest of time and applicability, I'm only going to highlight aspects that are directly applicable to Sacramento Transportation Authority's partner agencies. So to kick off, infra has been reauthorized for a tune of $8 billion, which is 3.2 prior to last authorization. This program funds highway and rail projects of regional and national significance and is a competitive grant program. Additionally, there is a new $12.5 billion competitive grant program for bridge investments to rehabilitate or replace bridges. The bill authorizes a new formula and competitive grant program and makes $7.3 billion available for formula grants to states and $1.4 billion available for competitive grants to make resilience improvements to address vulnerabilities to current and future weather events, natural disasters, and changing conditions due to climate change. The bill makes available $2.5 billion for a new competitive grant program to deploy publicly accessible electric and alternative fuel vehicle charging infrastructure. U.S. DOT will prioritize grants to rural areas, low to moderate income neighborhoods, and communities with low ratios of private parking. 50% of the grants each year are available for community grants to install charging infrastructure on public roads, schools, parks, and publicly accessible parking facilities. Additionally, the bill provides $5 billion for a new national electric vehicle charging program, which is appropriated formulaically. The bill makes $1 billion available for a new competitive grant pilot program, of which $250 million is for planning grants and $750 million is for construction. This program funds projects that remove, retrofit, or mitigate previously constructed barriers to mobility, access to economic development, and restore community connectivity. The bill authorizes $1 billion for a new competitive grant program for improvements to create safe and connective active transportation facilities, including adding sidewalks, bikeways, and pedestrian trails. The bill authorizes a total of $6 billion for a new competitive grant program to implement Vision Zero plans to reduce crashes and fatalities, especially for cyclists and pedestrians. Additionally, the bill authorizes $500 million for a new competitive grant program for demonstration projects to implement advanced smart city or community technologies and systems to improve transportation efficiency and safety. The bill appropriates $106.9 billion to the Federal Transit Administration for programs over the next 5 years. However, unlike the highway and rail funding programs, the transit funding includes very few substantive changes to existing programs. The bill reauthorizes and funds the Transportation Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act, also known as TIFIA. Through this program, DOT allows low-interest loans and loan guarantees with attractive repayment terms to government and private sector borrowers to undertake transportation infrastructure projects. It authorizes $1.25 billion available over the next 5 years to pay subsidy costs of loans. Please know that there's a lot of additional monies in this program to the tune of billions of dollars for freight and passenger rail, airports, and waterports that I did not include in the summary. All of these are also critical to our region, however, not part of the current Measure A program and are managed by our partner agencies through separate sources of funding. As I previously stated, this funding package puts Sacramento County in a strategic position and is the largest we've seen in a generation. Our local funding source provided by Measure A allows our partner agencies to be able to provide a local match to hopefully be awarded projects from this new funding program. And now to take a funding source a little closer to home. In late summer, the California Transportation Commission, or CTC, announced the third funding cycle for SB1's local partnership program. The CTC is proposing a 2-year, $200 million program statewide with 60% of the funding available distributed via formula and 40% in competitive grants. The formulaic funding is only available to agencies that have a taxpayer-approved tax, toll, or fee solely dedicated to transportation, thus allowing STA to participate as a nominating agency. The competitive program is available for those in the formulaic program, plus any agency that has fees dedicated to transportation, for example, impact fees. The CTC has already conducted a series of workshops with another scheduled for December to solicit feedback on any proposed changes they have to the program, to include cap tie and other performance metrics. They anticipate the new policy being released in the summer of 2022, as well as a call for projects, and anticipate program award for the summer of 2023. STA and their partner agencies have historically done well in the competitive program. Past award winners include the Capital Southeast Connector, the County of Sacramento's South Watt Avenue, the City of Sacramento's Downtown Mobility Project, and the City of Sacramento's I Street Bridge Replacement. STA and partner agencies have already started a dialogue to create a comprehensive competitive list of priorities for the next round of LPP grant funding. We'll be presenting this priority list of projects to the STA board in spring of 2022. Moving on. December marks the one-year anniversary as my role as Executive Director of the Sacramento Transportation Authority. I have greatly enjoyed my past year and am honored to serve in this role. At the December board meeting, I will be requesting feedback from the board on areas of improvement and any items you wish to address next year. I'd also like to take this term to address 2 items that are not in my Executive Director's report.
Sure.
First of all, I would be remiss if I did not extend my congratulations to Sacramento Regional Transit, as they were honored by the American Public Transportation Association, or APTA, as the 2021 Outstanding Public Transportation System of the Year. This award is only given to one agency in the nation for each category of small, medium, or large systems. SACRT was recognized for a number of initiatives they launched between 2018 and 2020 in 12 different areas, including safety, operations, finance, marketing, customer relations, sustainability, diversity, and equity. Congratulations to SACRT, and thank you for representing our region so well. And finally, I'd like to address a public comment submitted to the clerk by a member of the public. To quote, "Does the board have concern about the issues raised in the November 14th, 2021 article in the Sacramento Bee entitled, 'Biden Administration Blocks Transit Money Over Pension Law'? They ask, are projects directed by STA affected by the possible ineligibility for funding by the federal government now and going forward? What actions might the STA board take to protect federal funding for transportation in Sacramento County and to challenge the ruling by the U.S. Labor Department?" First of all, I'd like to thank the member of the public for raising this inquiry, and my response is actually twofold. First of all, STA does not receive federal funds. Our sole mission is to program and administer the local funding source of Measure A. However, our partner agencies do receive federal funding and have the potential to be impacted by this. So I reached out to the Sacramento Regional Transit Agency and asked if they would like to address this comment. They informed me that this clause has been instituted by a previous administration as well. During its last tenure, a court decision provided an injunction to both SACRT as well as the Monterey Salinas Transit Agency to ensure a continued flow of federal transit funds to those 2 agencies. The U.S. Department of Labor's 2021 redetermination letter intends to comply with that injunctive relief. However, SACRT continues to monitor and engage appropriate state and federal partners and will continue to update the SACRT board, STA board, and the public on this matter. And that serves my conclusion.
Great. Well, thanks, Sabrina. You covered a lot of territory in a relatively short amount of time. And again, a lot of good news embedded in what you brought forward. And it might be helpful because I think it was a little more elaborate than what was in your written report that you went through on the what the infrastructure bill might have as far as available funding. So if you could forward that
Absolutely.
to
Yeah, I have more information now than I did when I wrote the report.
No, I understand that. So again, thank you for sharing. That was very useful. So I think it'd be appreciated by members of the authority board to have that available, a good summary. And thank you for responding to the public comment and inquiry, and appreciate your follow-up on that. So, and would join obviously with other RT board members, but certainly community, and congratulating Regional Transit, and thank you for your acknowledgement of that as well. So, okay, let me go to my colleagues under the Executive Director's report. Are there any comments, questions, either regarding what Ms. Draco reported or anything else that you wanted to?
Is it 155 or 145 that they get out? No. What time did they get out?
I'm sorry, this is Darrell,
Somebody
the
has
clerk
their
of the
phone on.
board.
You may want to silence your phone.
Donald, Terry, we can hear you.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
It's 1:47 by our clock.
Yeah, my kids aren't out of school yet. Sorry about that.
That's okay. No problem.
I do have one hand raised from
Okay.
Member Singh Allen.
Okay. All right. Member Singh Allen, Bobby.
Yeah, I just wanted to say congratulations and happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Enjoyed your service since I've joined as well,
Thank you.
just under a year with STA. So just thank you and keep up the good work.
Great. Thanks, Bobby, for those comments. Anyone else?
I don't see any other hand raises at this time from the members, and there are no public comments at this time for item number 2.
Okay, very good. Then we'll move on. Thank you again, Sabrina. So we have our consent calendars, items 3 through 8, as presented. Do we have any member of the authority board that wishes to pull any of those consent items for further discussion?
I do not see any hand raises by the members at this time.
All right. Do we have any members of the public that wish to address this?
I do not see any verbal public comment for items 3 through 8 at this time.
Okay, and no one
I'll
in
move consent, Mr. Chair.
All right.
Second.
Okay. All right. Moved by Harris, seconded by Kozlowski to approve the consent calendar. We have no one in chambers that wish to address any of those items either. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Very good. So we have a motion and a second. And if we have no further comment, then we'll call for the vote. Darrell.
Desmond?
Aye.
Frost?
Aye.
Yetta?
Aye.
Harris?
Aye.
Kozlowski?
Aye.
Kennedy?
Aye.
Miller?
Aye.
Natoli?
Aye.
Sandhu?
Aye.
Chenier? Cerna?
Aye.
Singh Allen?
Aye.
Spees?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Valenzuela?
Yes.
And Vang.
Yes.
And the motion carries with member Chenier being absent.
Okay. Very good. So then we'll move down to our separate matters. And the first item under the calendar is item 9, which is consideration of approving the resolution initiating the renewal of the Sacramento Abandoned Vehicle Service Authority program. And I believe Jennifer is going to take this one. Ms. Dahl.
Good afternoon, Chair Natoli and board members. Before going over my staff report for item 9, I'd like to give a quick update. The October 7th board-approved SASVA Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, has been sent to each agency as of today. The following are updates for that. The cities of Elk Grove, Folsom, and Sacramento are circulating the MOU for signature. The cities of Galt and Rancho Cordova and the county of Sacramento are reviewing the MOU. Staff anticipates approval of the MOU from each shortly and will begin executing the MOU for those ones or those agencies. Staff has not received a response regarding the MOU from the city of Citrus Heights and will continue to follow up with them on that. For the item 9 agenda item, at the direction of the board's staff has continued working towards renewing the SASVA program. The next couple of steps towards renewing the program are: 1, SASVA Governing Board approval of the proposed documents attached to item 9 staff report, which are a resolution initiating the renewal of the Sacramento County Abandoned Vehicle Abatement Program and AVA fee tax measure text. Upon approval of the above documents at the direction of the board, staff will present the approved resolution initiating the renewal of the Sacramento County Abandoned Vehicle Abatement Program and the AVA fee tax measure text for approval by the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors, which requires a 2/3 vote, and a majority of the cities having a majority of the incorporated population within the county for the program. Staff respectively requests the board to adopt the resolution, approve the proposed abandoned vehicle abatement tax measure text, and direct staff to present the above for approval by the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors and the majority of the cities having a majority of the incorporated population within the Sacramento County. And that concludes my report.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. Bill, anything you wanted to add before I go to board member comments?
Not yet.
Okay, not yet. Okay, he stands ready. Okay. All right. So let me bring it to the board then. You've heard the staff recommendation and report that's included. Are there questions or comments?
Yes, I have one hand raised from Member Kennedy.
Okay, Member Kennedy, Pat. Drake.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just passing on information from Director Chenier, who could not be here today, but he wanted me to let the board know that the group that is putting together the Citizens Initiative for Measure A, which I am not a part of, meaning don't ask me any questions, they have said that they would be willing to include this on Measure A if that's a way that the board might want to go.
Okay.
And we have another hand raised from Member Harris.
Yeah, I see Member Harris. Was there any staff response to that?
I would turn to council for that
Yeah,
comment.
okay, Bill, you're up now for sure.
It's the first I've heard of it.
Okay.
My first thought is when the Measure A Citizens Initiative, if they're planning to go in the spring or the fall, because
I believe, correct me if I believe that they have to go in November. I think a measure like that needs to be on the November ballot.
That's
but
what I
could be-
thought.
Yeah.
I think for SAFSA, we were shooting for the spring ballot.
SASPA, we were shooting for June because the program expires in April,
Okay.
and there's going to be a time when we have to get it reinitiated, so we're trying to limit.
I think we
The
can move
expiration.
faster with SAFSA separately.
Okay. All right. Well, appreciate staff response. Maybe others want to comment as well, but I think that that is a certainly distinction between when people are seeking to go to the ballot with a citizen measure versus when we had contemplated taking this to the ballot in the June primary. So, okay, so we'll hold on that for a moment. Let's hear from other members. Member Harris and Member Guerra.
Yeah, thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
So, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it a 2/3 vote to pass in June?
That's correct.
So in the initiative, if we did hook it together, it would be a 50% plus one.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think a very significant one because very few measures have passed with 2/3 majority in my memory. And that, I think, places us at risk. We need SAFSA to move forward, in my opinion. And I think that we should look at this and have further discussion about the possibility of working with the initiative process. There could be a distinct advantage for STA to get in SAFSA across the finish line, notwithstanding the time horizon, which is problematic, but it certainly is worthy of a conversation and a little bit more discovery about the possibilities of each proposal. So I would like to bring that back to STA in the next meeting if we can. And I will certainly make inquiries with the group running the initiative to see what the possibilities are.
Okay. Well, thanks, Jeff. Okay, Member Guerra?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to also try to get more information about, how this, what the options are to us. And so if it pleases the board, I would make a motion to continue this item to our next STA meeting to give us the opportunity to get all the information for the board.
Okay, comments made. I hear a motion. I think, and we certainly can get a motion on the floor if we'd like to. I do think we need to know about the timing as it relates to if we stay on the course that we're currently on, understanding comments from my colleagues about some of the pluses but there may be a downside if we delay on this too long, because again, there are some, you come back from an election cycle and having to go before bodies and so forth. So I heard a motion. Was there a second to that, or do we want to hold a moment until there are other members have their hands raised as well? So
I'll second it to get it on the table.
okay. So we have a motion and a second to hold this item over to the December meeting. Let's continue the discussion and maybe some additional staff feedback. But I think Member Kozlowski had his hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to comment that Mr. Harris captured my thoughts exactly, and I was going to second this as well. So I think we definitely should consider this as an option.
Okay. All right, let me turn to other members of the authority board. Any other comments or thoughts? We have a motion. I'm going to ask staff to respond here in just a second as well. But okay, Member Miller, Steve.
Chair Natoli, I didn't understand if they were going to combine this measure into Measure A, because I think this measure standing alone speaks for itself. A dollar fee with DMV and continuing, I think it has a better chance of 2/3 than the Citizens Initiative at 50+1, in my humble opinion.
Okay. Appreciate those comments. Anyone else want to weigh in?
Chair Valenzuela.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Katie.
Hi, Chair. I think another option here that we've been exploring offline with staff that I think now is a good time to bring up is a legislative option. I've approached Assembly Member McCarty's office potentially about running a bill that would expand the fee. This is a situation that a lot of jurisdictions around the state are finding themselves in, will find themselves in soon, as their respective fees decline. And since it's such an essential source of money, that is another path that we've been exploring. So I do support delaying this a month because I think that would give his office time to figure out if they can commit to that. He's in a great position being on budget committee to run a bill that would take effect sooner than the end of the year. So just wanted to put that on the table for consideration as well.
Okay, good. Thank you.
May I add some more context, please?
I'm
Chair,
sorry?
May I add some more context?
Yeah, well, I just want to make sure members weighed in a little bit, get context. Did Member Kozlowski put his hand back up, or that was previously?
Back up.
Okay, Mike.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead, Mr. Kozlowski. Go ahead. I think you're on mute.
You're
Mike,
still
you're on
muted.
mute. You're
There
on
we
mute.
go.
There's nothing stopping us from doing all three of those paths concurrently. So I think the suggestion is good from Member Valenzuela, and there's nothing stopping us from doing two ballot measures that at the same time or at different elections next year.
Okay.
So
all right.
that's it.
Thank you for your comment. Okay, we do have a motion and a second, but I want to go to staff, and then we'll call for any public comment, any other comments from board members. So, yes, Sabrina.
Thank you, Chair. Just to give the board some additional context, when we conducted the polling in the summer for Measure A, we did ask them about the abandoned vehicle program, and with some explanation of messaging, we did poll at 2/3, at 66 or almost 2/3, 66%. Additionally, what Director Valenzuela was referencing, we are in talks with McCarty's office, and part of that is to see if we could potentially increase the fee as well to $2, which does require legislative action, because as of right now, we're only funding about 52% of the program annually, and so we're looking to see if we can potentially raise the fee. So just for full context of what's happening.
As part of a future bill to, one, extend it.
Correct.
Extend it legislatively,
yeah.
but also then to potentially increase the amount that could be received.
Yes,
So,
that is correct.
okay. All right. So let me bring it back to authority board members. Any other comments or questions? We do have a motion in a second, and then I'm going to ask if there's any public comment on this. Anybody else? I don't see any other hands. I do see
Yes,
some hand raised.
Kennedy?
Yeah, Supervisor Kennedy and then Supervisor Frost.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say, thank you, Director Valenzuela. That's very interesting news, and I think reason enough to put this off a month right there.
Well, and it's not even going to be a full month because we're going to be back here about 3 weeks, I think. So, okay, very good. Then Member Frost.
I just have I know we went through the polling and we voted to not put a new something on the ballot. And now what we're talking about is working with the Citizens Initiative, but I'm not sure what is the content or what their initiative looks like. And so are you saying we're voting right now to overturn the decision that the board already made regarding not participating in a new Measure A in 2022, or are you saying we're opening for conversations?
Yeah, the motion, as I understand it, is to delay the item that has the recommendation from staff, put that over to our December meeting. Is the items or questions have been raised about potentially some linkage between the SAFSA and any citizen initiative related to general transportation items. And then thirdly, with Vice Chair Valenzuela's comments that there's been a legislative look that staff's been working on that others, it sounds like, on the authority board have. So basically the motion today is to continue this matter for about 3 weeks. So, and bring it back with more content, more context behind it, I trust, between now and then. So,
Thank you, Chair.
you bet. Okay. With that, then, there was...
Member Geddes has a hand raised.
Okay. Eric, back to you. Sorry.
Oh, no, sorry,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, you articulated the motion appropriately, just to continue the item. So
Okay.
I'll try to lower my hand.
Okay, we got it. So, okay, so the motion is simply with certainly, the context is the conversation and the comments that will go behind it. But at this point, we're continuing this matter until the December meeting, which is, what's the date of December meeting?
December 9th.
December 9th. Okay, so we'll see this between Thanksgiving and Christmas again. So, all right, and then we'll have, again, a fuller conversation about this. Again, clock's ticking on the June. Legislatively, folks are, looking at that, as well as obviously what may be targeted for the November ballot. So, okay, so the motion is simply at this point in time to continue item 9 to the December board meeting. With that, no comments from the public? Anybody signed up or anybody on the Zoom?
I do not have any any verbal comments right now for item number 9.
Okay, with that, then we're going to go to a vote. So would ask the clerk to call the roll, please, for continuing this item.
And I'm sorry, just to confirm, the second, was it Kennedy?
No, I believe it was Kozlowski.
I think there was someone.
Kennedy.
Oh, it was
Okay,
Kennedy. I'm sorry. Okay, so it
before
was-
he did his. Okay, I
Okay,
just wanted to confirm.
you got it right, Darrell. Good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Desmond?
Aye.
Frost? Guerra?
Aye.
Guerra, aye.
Harris?
Aye.
Kozlowski?
Yes.
Kennedy?
Aye.
Miller?
Yes.
Natoli?
Aye.
Sandu?
Aye.
Chenier? Cerna?
Aye.
Singh Allen?
Aye.
Spees?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Valenzuela?
Yes.
And Vang.
Yes.
And your motion carries.
Okay, more to come on that item. So, again, thank you, Jennifer, for teeing it up for us today. All right, then we'll go to our next item under separate matters, and that's the item 10, Capital Southeast Connector Joint Powers Authority 2015 Capital Allocation Contract Administrative Expenses for fiscal years 2018 through 2021, and the JPA's request to amend contract language. I know Sabrina has a report. She'll supplement that verbally, and then we do have a speaker, I believe, on this as well, and we'll take comments from authority board members. But Sabrina, I'll go to you first.
Thank you, Chair. So upon joining the STA last year as Executive Director, I conducted a review of all contracts between the STA and its partner agencies. I wanted to better understand the history of each agency and the relationship with STA so I could serve as a better partner. However, when I reviewed the 2015 capital allocation contract between the STA and the Capital Southeast Connector JPA, I discovered a clause that was unique to just the connector. It limited the amount of administrative expenditures to that the connector could invoice per year from 2015 to 2018. The contract also stated that if it were to be amended beyond the initial sunset date of 2018, any future administrative expenditures would need STA board approval prior to that fiscal year. Noticing that this was unique, I went back to their previous contract from 2010 and discovered the same language existed there. From conversations with counsel, I learned that this clause was in there for a reason. Unlike other agencies, the connector's primary funding source came from Measure A. It is absolutely expected that any agency incurs administrative expenses in order to operate. However, every other agency invoices administrative expenses differently. It is done as an audited, predetermined proportional amount of staff time spent on a Measure A project. Since Connector staff's sole purpose is to deliver the one project, the Southeast Connector, they invoice administrative expenditures based on actual costs versus a predetermined rate. For example, instead of knowing that 20% of each hour billed to a Measure A project would be added to the overall cost to cover administrative expenses, the connector invoices STA directly for each actual charge, including office leases, audits and accounting, monthly cell phone charges, furniture, equipment, and office administrative staff. Or to put in layman's terms, it's the difference between providing an allowance versus paying a credit card bill. However, upon discovering that this clause existed, I looked for board action for fiscal years 2019, 20, and 21 to pre-authorize administrative budget, as the contract had been extended 3 times since 2018, which is currently set to expire at fiscal year 23. I could not find any board action or internal memos authorizing this part of the contract. SDA contacted Connector staff and along with their respective councils, have been meeting regularly since there was only $2.5 million remaining of the 2015 contract out of the initial $24.5 million, and that JPA now had an additional capital allocation contract from 2021 for $4 million that did not have the same contract language limiting expenditures. Connector staff and council asked STA if they could invoice their administrative expenses through the new capital allocation contract and discontinue that use in the 2015 contract. All parties agreed, and it was documented that was how the connector would move forward starting in July 2021. As for the administrative expenditures for fiscal years 2019 through 21, Council requested that we bring before the board a recommendation to either waive the right to review past expenditures or to review and approve past expenditures. In the perspective of transparency, we thought it was best interest to summarize administrative expenses for the last 3 years for the board. We asked the connector to compile their expenses, and the detail is in the board packet. In short, the connector spent on average $310,000 per year on administrative expenses. STA staff have reviewed these charges monthly and additionally have been audited annually through both the STA and the connector. And please note that STA and the connector staff have open dialogues. We review the invoices monthly, and and any concerns are brought up in a timely fashion and addressed immediately. We are merely bringing this before the board today, not because we are concerned about past expenditures, but we're trying to align ourselves with the language of the 2015 contract. So today I ask the board to approve these past expenditures to properly align our actions with the 2015 capital allocation contract. However, I'm sure you noticed at your board packet that there were 2 actions on this agenda item. As stated earlier, STA and connector staff determined a path forward in June 2021 for future administrative expenditures utilizing the 2021 contract. As far as STA staff and council were aware, all items regarding the 2015 capital allocation contract were resolved once the board opted to take action or not on past expenses. However, just prior to the release of the October 2021 JPA connector board packet, STA staff and council were emailed a contract amendment to the 2015 contract with the connector staff requesting STA board remove the pre-authorization of administrative expenditures on the 2015 contract. Connector staff and council asked STA staff and council if there were any comments to this amendment before they brought it to the board. A phone call commenced where STA staff and council expressed confusion at this sudden action, as we thought all items had been properly addressed. So please note that the connector's my request for you today, the connector's funding is not in question, nor is access to their funding. The remaining $2.5 million on the 2015 capital allocation contract can be used for any direct expense on the connector: planning, design, right-of-way, or construction. The only contract limitation is for administrative expenditures. For that purpose, they have full access to the $4 million 2021 capital allocation contract to use how they best see fit. The connector board did approve this amendment on October 29th, and connector staff, council, and several members of the board have requested that I bring this before you today. I've asked them to please be present, and I see that they are. Please note that my recommendation to not amend the 2015 contract is not punitive, but in my professional opinion, not necessary. We asked the connector staff, instead of amending this contract and potentially extending it for a 4th time, they spend the remaining $2.5 million on direct project expenditures. That way we can move forward on more current contracts. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Sabrina. We'll take any questions from authority board members, but I know that counsel for the JPA is in the audience. I didn't know if you wanted to speak at this time, Nancy, or you wanted to wait till any questions from the board, but I think there is concurrence on the staff recommendation, but if I'm mistaken, I would give you the opportunity to come.
I'm just here to answer questions.
Okay, you are. Okay.
You're correct about concurrence.
Okay, so my understanding, there is concurrence with the staff recommendation as represented by council for the Joint Powers Authority. And there was an action, as you noted, but it sounds like there's the solution has been arrived at and the parties are in agreement. But with that, then, let me go to authority board members. Are there any questions or comments?
Yes, Member Valenzuela.
Okay, Member Valenzuela. Katie?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Sabrina, for this thorough overview. I appreciate you bringing this item back. You know, something that was in our packet that I'm not sure all the authority members might have caught is that very recently the connector reimbursed us some money. You might remember a line of questioning at our last meeting with them where I asked about different expenses that I saw in invoices. There was lobbying occurring. You know, they did give that money back, but it does raise the question for me. And this isn't, I think, fault of STA staff. I think it's just might be a capacity question about how do we review these expenses as they come to us so that those sort of things don't happen again. And for me, to be frank, it does raise questions about some of the spending that might have happened before that day. You know, have we really done the sort of thorough look that we needed to do on other spending, not just happen to be something I caught in the middle of scanning hundreds of pages of invoices and said, hey, wait a minute, why are there bill reports in here if you're not lobbying? And I wonder if there is the potential, Sabrina, and I want to ask you this question before finishing some other points. How do we ensure moving forward that our review of their expenses, like, is there any access to forensic accounting or just somebody who can help us capacity-wise, since it's so many invoices that are coming through this particular contract to ensure the funding is spent according to the taxpayers' wishes?
Thank you, Director. So we do review it monthly, as well as our oversight committee does have access to review monthly, and it is audited annually. I'm going to turn this back to Tim Jones, CFO, to see if he has any additional information.
Tim?
Yeah, I guess, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess the only other comment that I have would be that the expenditures that are referred to here are all eligible under the definitions that have been board approved. And so there's some subjectivity in terms of when we're reviewing the contracts, whether or not these are eligible expenditures, and they are, but then it's, in this case, we have a second layer of due diligence, and that would be to manage the expenditures under the contract language, in particular the 2015 contract language. So I think that there's some subjectivity in it, and I think that the connector has done a good job in the past in responding to questions. We don't always just sign off on their invoices. We'll often review them, and we'll follow up with staff or with the executive director and have a conversation with them, and at times we make adjustments accordingly. So I think that there's a fair amount of due diligence on our part, in addition to our own independent auditors and the auditors at the JPA itself.
Okay, thanks,
That's
Tim.
fair. And thank you for answering that question. We just found something that was being done wrong on just a couple board meetings ago. And so again, like, I'm not saying that this is like any intentional oversight on our side. I just think maybe it warrants a little deeper investigation before we retroactively approve a bunch of, as you said, Sabrina, I thought it was a great analogy, credit card bills for expenses that were never approved by this authority. I mean, our board really has one function, which is to oversee these taxpayer dollars and to make sure that they're being spent appropriately. So I don't feel comfortable waiving review of prior expenses. And I also don't feel comfortable with the fact that we're going to be giving 3 times as much money as was previously given for administrative expenses. That's a huge jump in spending. I'd like to better understand why that's necessary. I don't think that we should be just saying, okay, we'll raise the cap. You know, I think we should be keeping it at 100,000, and unless we had any documentation, which it sounds like we don't, of us saying yes and them operating in good faith. It sounds like they were just spending more money, 3 times as much money as we had previously told them to. And now we have this huge list of expenses that, I mean, I'm not qualified to go through with a fine tooth comb, but I would like to see further review done before we approve it. So for me, I mean, moving forward, I'd like to keep the cap on this contract at 100,000. That is the clear intention of this. This is what our previous policy was. I don't see any good reason to change it, especially with the other contract. But I also just want to raise a flag on the other contract. The fact that there's a contract of $4 million with no cap on administrative expenses seems kind of wild, because the whole point of Measure A was to pay for these projects to get done. And I appreciate that there's costs that go along with getting these projects done, but there's got to be some level of frugality that we're trying to inspire here to say, don't just spend all of the money on staff time and other expenses. We want to try to maximize the money for the impact for the community that paid for this measure. So I would like to talk about that. I know that might need to be a different item because that wasn't part of the notice for today, but I'd also like to look at this $4 million contract and whether or not it's appropriate moving forward, or if we have the ability moving forward to put a reasonable administrative limit on that one as well. So those are my points, Chair. I think 100K under the 2015 contract is more than reasonable, given they've got a contract that's unlimited. I'd like to check into that contract, and I'm not comfortable approving retroactive payments like this without further review. I think I'd really like to see us bring in some more help on this, if that's possible, just to go through an extensive amount of documentation and make sure the money was spent according to the taxpayers' will. So thank you.
Okay, so noted. So we have a couple of hands up, and I know that the representative from the JPA, Ms. Miller, came to the podium, but let me do this. Let me take other comments and then allow Ms. Miller and or Ms. Drago to respond. So, okay, so Member Harris and I think Member Kozlowski have their hands up. Next.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Well, there was almost accusations made just then. I'm wondering if the ITOC could take maybe a more substantial role in looking into this matter. Sabrina mentioned that the ITOC has eyes on, but I'm wondering how much time they spend on this contract and whether it might warrant referring the issue over to the ITOC.
Okay, Sabrina, do you want to respond to that? Or you want to wait and take all the comments?
Oh, I'll wait.
Okay, so Member Harris, Sabrina's going to respond to the comments from the authority board members here as soon as we hear from others. So you'll get a response in just a moment. Again, so noted and on your suggestion.
Yeah, understood. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thanks, Jeff. Okay, Member Kozlowski, Mike?
The only thing that I have heard thus far in now 3 meetings talking about the activities at the connector JPA is that Member Valenzuela thinks they're spending too much money, and that perhaps this board failed to have a board action that most likely would have been on a consent calendar to approve their expenses in past years. So going further into this, when we have an audit process that does that already, seems like navel gazing, honestly. I don't know why we're still talking about this. It's extremely frustrating to me.
Okay.
That's all. Thank you.
Good. Thanks, Mike. I have some additional hands. I think Katie raised her hand again, and Member Frost. So Katie first.
Yeah, just to make sure that it's clear what I'm saying. I mean, the Southeast Connector gave us money back. It's in our staff report because they were paying MMS Strategies to do lobbying with taxpayer dollars, which was not something that was allowed. So this was based on me, who is not an accountant, who's not anybody who's trained on this, going through invoices and saying, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't look right, asking the question, and then having that work confirmed later by stakeholders, right? So this is not me hypothetically saying, hey, I have questions about how this money's been spent. This is me saying very recently, we have uncovered an issue that was missed by our auditor, and that was missed by our staff. And I'm not assuming any ill intent or conspiracy or anything. I'm just saying that maybe, given that we just found this issue, we should look a little more closely at these prior spending before we just approve them, just to make sure that there aren't other issues that were potentially missed. So that is my point, just to clarify.
Okay, good. Thank you, Katie. Okay, Member Frost, Sue?
My comment goes to previous years where we have on an annual basis approved the expenditure or the allocation to the JPA. And it's my understanding that the JPA has a certain percentage of administrative costs, a certain percentage that they can apply to administrative costs, but the JPA itself makes decisions on how that money is spent, and it's not something that's made by our board. So my understanding is that it was written into the Measure A, how those monies would be administered and toward the connector and to every other jurisdiction, and how much can be applied to administrative. So, I mean, to go back, it seems kind of like it's a little bit of a I'm not sure why we're going back to something we've already approved on an annual basis, I guess.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sue. Okay, I go to Sabrina to respond to board member comments or questions, then I'm going to turn to Ms. Miller, who's at the podium, to respond on behalf of JPA or make comments. Sabrina?
Thank you, Chair. Supervisor Frost, to respond to your question, the cap on administrative expenditures of 0.75% is for the STA itself, so for the authority to administer the program. The expenditure plan doesn't state any administrative limitations to our partner agencies. So, every agency does handle their own itself, and again, we have audited rates by every other agency based upon their hours billed to Measure A projects. The connector is unique, that it is a direct reimbursement to them. So I don't know, Bill, if you have any other addition.
Yeah. Okay. So first on the ordinance, the Measure A ordinance provides for Measure A revenues to be spent on administrative costs in addition to all the other things that go towards construction of road projects and operation. Now, how this board chooses to allot those costs and reimbursement is up to the board. And the way it did it with this particular contract, and going back to the 2010 contract, it's important to note that there's not a limitation on all admin expenditures for the JPA. It's only a category of admin expenditures, which is defined as general admin. And those are admin expenses that are not directly related to delivery and construction of the connector project. And when this first issue was brought up back in 2010, originally, the examples that your director gave you at that time of the kinds of admin costs that were going to be limited under the contract were rent, office equipment, furniture were the three examples he gave you back then. So the limitation isn't on all the admin they're doing. Just want to make that point. But it is, the board has the ability to, if you want to do a review of what kinds of admin you are or not comfortable allowing to reimburse through Measure A, you can do that. But I think it's been pretty regular to allow reimbursement of certainly the admin costs that are built into the labor rates that go into and are related to delivery of these projects.
Okay. Then, Sabrina, you did have a comment, I'm going to turn to Ms. Miller, but from Member Harris about having the ITALC, because you mentioned in your comments, I think he referenced that, so could you want to respond to that?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. And I will let Tim follow up on my response, or add on to my response. We could absolutely turn this over to the ITALC and have them do a more conclusive review and present to the board if that is what they wish. But Tim, if you have any.
Well, I wasn't sure it was retroactive, and Member Harris, because I thought he was kind of going forward, but the new contract allows for administrative expenses without regard to defined categories, but still requires review, oversight by our staff. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, we review every invoice that comes through the door.
Okay, all right. Tim, anything else you wanted to add? Otherwise, okay. So I see.
Chair?
Yes.
I just wanted to clarify. My intent was moving forward, not looking backwards.
Okay, thanks,
as far
Jeff.
as ITALC, having the ITALC look at and just assist STA staff with a thorough look so that we don't get into this conversation again.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Member Harris. Ms. Miller's at the podium. I see a couple of her hands. Member Frost and Member Terry, but let me, if you want to respond where we are at this point in time, Nancy, anything, or if you prefer to hear other comments.
I would always defer to your board
Yeah.
comments first.
Okay, all right. So then I'll go back to Member Frost and then Member Terry.
I just wanted to add to my comments and say that and a really important part of what the JPA board is doing is trying to find funding. They can't make that project happen without additional matching funding from the federal government or state. And so the lobbying plays an important role in bringing money to this region. So, I wanted to highlight that because they've done they've been trying really hard to get more funding to help us build that road out. So I think the lobbying part of it is part of the admin, and plays an important role in completing the job.
Okay. All right, thank you, Sue. All right, Member Terry, Donald?
Yeah, I don't want to get into, I don't have the contract in front of me, so I'm not going to talk about what should be counted or what shouldn't be counted. But what I will say is, one, if you're ever going to entertain forensic accounting, you should have an understanding of what the costs are to what your expectation of savings would be. So if we're going to go and spend 50 grand to find $3,200 worth of billing that shouldn't have happened, that's a waste of taxpayer money. So let's be really thoughtful about this. I'm very comfortable moving forward if we want to have additional scrutiny or look at something. But even to Sue's point, depending on your interpretation of what that contract is and the very specifics within it, you may interpret those activities in two completely different ways. And I trust our staff to do that. But again, when you start to talk forensic accounting and looking back over years and years and years of God knows what, you could end up spending, and I've seen governments do this, spend an inordinate amount of money to find nothing or to find very, very little. And so again, I'm not going to sit here and question our staff as to whether or not they can understand contracts. And just going forward, something was found, something was returned, and let's move forward and be a little more careful.
Okay, thanks, Donald. Okay, Member Singh Allen? Bobby?
Thank you. I appreciate Member Valenzuela's comments, but I would lend my support for what I've heard from my other colleagues here. First and foremost, I can tell you that the JPA connector is a very important project for the city of Elk Grove. So I want to make sure that, I share those interests with all of you, that it is one of our top 5 priorities, if not one, top 3. But, just like the city of Elk Grove and the staff that we hire, we trust our staff and they are experts in their areas, in their fields, and we have strong checks and balances in place. So I wouldn't oppose to looking forward for creating maybe additional measurements, but to go retroactively, I think it's a dangerous precedent. How many other votes and prior decisions are we going to start looking forensically? We should feel comfortable in previous board decisions and create better and stronger opportunities moving forward. So I do understand and appreciate what Member Valenzuela is trying to accomplish, but I would be much more supportive moving forward. And then again, trusting the oversight, the expertise in the staff that's already taken place, and the checks and balances. And if we need to add another check and balance, I'm open to looking at that. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity.
Great. Thank you, Bobby.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I forgot one thing.
Go ahead, Donald. Yeah.
I did want to say about the increased spending that's coming this year and next year. When you have Folsom and Elk Grove actively building parts of the connector in the last 18 months or so, that the expenditures for this project are also increasing significantly from the last 15, 20 years that it's been in existence. That's all. Thank you.
Good. Thanks, Donald. Okay, Ms. Miller, if you have other comments, we'll come back to the board. But Nancy, you've heard this, certainly been a part of the council and advice for the JPA for a number of years. So did you want to offer some comments?
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to thank staff. As I said earlier, we appreciate working with them. We don't always have agreement, but we always usually come to agreement eventually. I just wanted to clarify the record on something that Member Valenzuela said about lobbying. which is it is an eligible expense and is allowable expense, as Tim said earlier. I understand your personal objection to that, and that is why we removed it. It wasn't because of a mistake or an error. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Nancy, anything else you wanted to add then?
No, just
Okay.
we'd like the item moved.
You concur with the staff recommendation
Yes.
that Ms. Drake has brought forward?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move the staff recommendation, please.
Okay, Member Kozlowski moves.
Frost.
Okay, second by Member Frost. We'll call, we're going to see if there's other public comment. I just wanted to note, we have a motion and a second that the staff has been working very closely, our staff, STA with JPA staff, and I know made some adjustments in June relative to the going forward. And I think, obviously, as Ms. Miller reported and certainly Member Valenzuela spoke to, there was a reimbursement, but we also had, I think, a very clear understanding about in the going forward as to how, with the $4 million that it was in the new contract, will be administered, but also obviously the review that you pointed out. Is that accurate? Okay. All right. Very good. Do we have any members of the public that wish to comment on this, Darrell?
We do not have any verbal comment at this time for item number 10.
Okay. And so we have a motion and a second. I don't see any further comments on the motion. Appreciate the commentary. And with that, then we'll call for the vote.
Desmond? Frost?
Aye.
Guerra?
Aye.
Harris?
Aye.
Kozlowski?
Aye.
Kennedy?
Aye.
Miller?
Aye.
Natoli?
Aye.
Sandu?
Aye.
Chenier? Cerna?
Aye.
Singh Allen?
Aye.
Spees?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Valenzuela?
No.
And Vang?
No.
And your motion carries with Member Chenier being absent and Members Valenzuela and Vang voting no.
Okay. And just to note, the motion, staff recommendation is approved. There, I think the commentary relative to the involvement to ITALK, you maybe want to keep us informed as to how that would play itself out in the going forward, but it occurs anyway, and so I think, again, some comments will taken on that. But all right, nothing further on that item. It brings us to the close of the agenda, opportunity for authority members to offer comments before we close the meeting. Anyone wish to, any announcements? Seeing.
Sorry, I do not see any hand raises
Okay, no
from
hands.
the members
so
at
everybody,
this time.
But no, they're waving goodbyes because we're done. So, okay. Anyway, everyone have a great Thanksgiving. Thanks for the engagement today, and we'll see you back here in 3 weeks' time. So, with that, we'll call the meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.